All right, over 5 minutes, so I'm going to go through this very quickly. My name is Graciano. I come from a startup called Quip. The goal of the company is basically to do what Microsoft did for the PC era. We want to be Microsoft Office for the mobile era. Today is an ironic day to be saying that in front of everyone because they just launched Office for the iPad. But basically, the company was founded by 2 guys, one who built Google Maps and then a company called Braintree and then was the CTO of Facebook, and another guy who built Google Suggest and then Google App Engine. And we were founded in 2012. We launched in July of last year. And I'm going to show you guys the product and explain a little bit about what we're building in the next couple months as well. I'm going to show it to you on a PC running in a browser. Like I said, the whole goal of our company is to be the sort of office of the mobile era, which means that we differentiate ourselves because we run extremely well on all mobile devices, iOS and Android. And also because we work really well across devices. So our theory about the mobile world is not that tablets are going to overtake PCs in the next 3 years and you're not going to be carrying a PC, but actually that most people are going to be carrying 3 devices for the next 5 years. And that so working really well across a PC, a tablet, and a phone is extremely important. So I'll show it to you on a PC, but know that this works super well on phones and tablets as well. It all looks the same. So basically, the way Quip works, on the right side you can see what would be more or less the final version in Word. And the left side is what we call the document feed. So basically, if you scroll back here, this is like the news feed of the document. So you can see Josh created the document and he wrote the document. And these are basically what we call diffs. They're like track changes, but slightly different. And at some point, Josh decided to share this document with me and Teddy. And what happened actually at that moment was that we got, Teddy and I got push notifications that said, hey, Josh shared this document with you. And then when I went and opened the document, Josh got a push notification that said, Molly, just open your document. So right there, what we're doing is basically taking modern features like push notifications and taking all that weight out of your email. So you no longer have to send that email that's like, hey, everybody, take a look at this, and then nobody responds. And then 2 days later, you're like, hey guys, did you actually look at that? No, now it's a push notification on your phone, and you know when someone, your CEO, your boss, or whatever, opens the document. And so then these are messages. So this is just Josh chatting back and forth and letting us know what's going on. And eventually you start to see what happens as I start editing the document. So we show track changes, real-time changes in the feed. You can also see we've integrated things that are, again, quite modern, like a like buttons. So Josh can be like, yeah, I like what you're doing over there. And on and on. And so we also have features that are pretty simple, like they seem extremely simple. Like you can highlight a section of the document and talk about it, making this work across all devices, making the data always available and synced is actually extremely complicated. And so you can also see if you scroll to the sort of end, we actually incorporate things. Hold on. We incorporate credits throughout the document. We incorporate read receipts, throughout the product. So, for example, you can always see who's online, what device they're using, what document they're in if you have access to it. So I can tell my CEO is online right now that he's on a computer, which means it's not a bad time to have a conversation with him. But the other thing is, we call these documents, actually the design principle of Quip is a whiteboard. We want it to feel like a whiteboard in an open office floor plan. And most documents today, if you think about what they are, they're actually not printed out. So we incorporate things that are interactive, like tables. And yes, to answer your question, we are thinking about doing spreadsheets. We also have, we also have interactive features like checklists, which was one of our sort of most popular features from launch. This is not your average document. This is not what most people would think of as a document. And if the right side is basically the final version that gives you kind of an overview of what's going on, the left side becomes a really interesting feed of what everyone on your team is working on. So basically, like this is the home of Quip, and the right side is what we call the desktop. The desktop is more or less your sort of iPhone home screen. You can bookmark things, you can archive them, you can get rid of them. The left side is your inbox, which is controlled by other people. So if people edit documents as they message them, as they like something in them, that sort of pops up, just like your SMS feed. Yeah. So basically, you start to see how a company could actually be using this. This is all our whole company. Our whole company runs on Quick. We actually don't use email internally because all of our communication and collaboration happens in here. Like I said, once you start using it wholeheartedly, it's interesting what happens. A lot of the kind of weight of email goes away. But you can see, again, presence built in throughout the document. So this actually becomes like a living intranet, in addition to being something as simple as just like a text document. So for example, if I join the company and I want to go back and figure out why we made the decisions we made when we were designing folders, I can go back and find all the early design documents from the beginning of the company. And I can not only see the like actual document, but I can see the conversation around it. So it's as if you join the company and you can not only see the wiki pages that are sitting around somewhere dead, but you can also see all the email conversation that went into designing something that's now fundamental to the company. So yeah, I'm gonna pause there. I actually have to take off, but my colleague Josh is in the back of the room. If any of you guys are interested in our plans on imagining Excel and Word might be part of your lives, Josh will be around to answer questions later.
Can you guys hear me okay? All right. Okay. So my name's Amir, I'm with eShares. Hopefully most of you have heard of this by now. We're building the Depository Trust Corporation for privately held companies, i.e. the master database of shareholder registration. And the way we're doing that is first we have to go out and vacuum up all the paper stock certificates that exist in the world and their derivatives, options, and warrants, and put them in a database. The way that we're doing that is by issuing electronic shares on behalf of companies. So let me give you an example. I have this company, Meetscape. I'm going to issue options to a new employee. I just put in his information. Let's make it for 10,000 shares at an exercise price of $2. It's an ISO. No early exercise, state of California. Let's do a grant date of today. Let's do employee vesting. But I'm going to backdate this vesting start date. I'll show you why in a second. So once I've set up this, I can look at the details of this grant that I'm sending to an employee, and then I can look at the vesting schedule here. So I can see that I'm probably a third of the way vested. I'm going to send this out for signature. I'm charge $20 for the transaction. Send this out. I'm going to log out as the administrator of this company, who's usually a paralegal for most of our clients. I'm going to log in as the officer of the company building. He's the CEO. When he logs in, he'll see this grant got sent to him for signature. Let's sign this selected grant. That approves the grant. And now we send it to the employee. So let me log in as the employee. Let's see what he sees. So on his dashboard, he says, hey, you just been sent the grant to you. Accept. You can first and look at it. He signs for accepting this grant, and it gets deposited into his portfolio. And he sees this grant now for $10,000, of which 1/3 has vested. Now, if he wants to, he can exercise his options. So he clicks exercise. He gets this calculator that tells him how many options he can exercise, how much it will cost to exercise those options. It tells him, hey, send in a check for $5,450 and we'll exercise them for you. He sends in a check. I'm going to go back to the administrator of the company who's going to process this exercise. So Mary's going to go back. She's going to look at the option that she just sent. So they're going to pay 10,000 shares. Exercise. She puts in an exercise date. The number of options for exercise. We tell her she can't do more than 3,333 because those are the only number of options that are vested. She's got to confirm that she's received payment of $4,000 and upload the deposit slip. to review the certificate details. So now, if you remember, what happens when you exercise an option, you're effectively buying stock in the company. So that means we owe that person a certificate. We're confirming a new certificate, CSS7, of common stock, for 2,000 shares at a price per share of $2. It'll cost $20 to effect the transaction. Yes, please exercise these options. Now I'm taking to the stock certificate ledger, and I see that the new stock certificate, CSS7, has been created. Let's take a look at it. I have a certificate front and a certificate back with all the appropriate letters for that stock cert. And if I go back to this certificate, I can see that it was created by the exercise of the grant. I can click on the grant and look at the exercise history of this grant, see the certificates that have been issued against the grant. And if I look at the vesting schedule, of course, it tells me that these have been exercised. The last magic in this, and if you ever look at the cap table, this is pure magic, is it automatically updates my cap table. And I just received a certificate for CSS7, and the option pool has been deducted. But it's kind of lame that he has to send in a check. So in 6 weeks, we're working on it now. He will be able to put in his ACH, and we'll clear the transaction automatically for him. It'll be the first time in the United States that a private company transaction has been cleared by a third-party electronic transfer, just like a public company. As I know.
Hello everyone. As a former banker, I couldn't resist wearing a suit. Luckily, this is the one start of the memoir. Actually, I want to see the guy. Also put together a quick presentation just to show you some screenshots of this product. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of DataFox, which easy way to remember what it is it's Bloomberg for private companies, but it's a whole lot more than that. We're the best way to actually observe in real time what's going on with private companies, public companies, and the sectors that they constitute. It's late in the day, and my presentation is on auto today. So, worked in banking for 3.5 years. Had to analyze a lot of private and public companies. In our group of 30 investment professionals, we had 2 quants, but I was still doing all my work using Google and Excel spreadsheets. Came here for business school and found that people here were hiring data scientists and quants the same way. And yet, people were still very haphazard around their research. When I dig into a sector for the first time, where do I go to find information? I have Bloomberg and Thomson Reuters for public companies. Where do I find information on the rest of that sector? So, teamed up with a few friends in Stanford's engineering school to apply the latest in their research on language processing, so semantic analysis, basically taking the broad swath of information that's available online and offline, and translating that into time series indicators of a company's and a sector's growth. So I can see not only how companies relate to one another, but also where the white space is, where are the opportunities here to start new businesses. So what does that allow us to do? Well, Box is filed with S1, and you look on any source of company information, and it tells you that this is the sector that Box operates in. Its industry is collaborative software, SIC code is services, prepackaged software, NAICS is software publishers. That doesn't allow me to do a whole lot of competitive analysis, whether on Box or whether I'm looking to ride the wave of cloud storage taking off. This is what it looks like on DataFox. You actually see how Box is tied to companies in its immediate vicinity and companies that are a bit more distant. So you see that actually Box sits at the intersection of enterprise content management, consumer file storage, consumer content management. So I get a much better impression of who this company actually competes with and where the opportunities lie. So why can we do this? We can do this because, again, we have such sophisticated algorithms around semantic analysis and sector taxonomy. So we really fixed the big problem globally around figuring out what sector a company constitutes and allowing me to dig into one of those buckets. So this is what DataFox looks like when you log in. In this case, I searched for Hadoop. You can see the drop-down that there are a bunch of related specific subclusters that also come up. So there's this very rich taxonomy. And then, of course, I can filter. Maybe I'm looking for companies of a certain size by headcount. Maybe I'm looking for companies that are private versus public, or that have received some kind of recognition, i.e., Inc. 5000, Forbes. So that allows me to basically generate a list of prospects in minutes, where that would have otherwise taken 2 of my analysts 2 days. This gives you this real-time watch list of comps. So no longer is this living on your hard drive somewhere in a spreadsheet that gets stale by the next day. Now it's online now, and anytime we uncover new information, it gets added to this watch list. It also allows us to use our machine learning to say, hey, you're interested in these 9 specific companies. You should probably also look at this company and this company. And it allows us to do that over time, because what happens is companies change very, very quickly. So when a new competitor enters the space, Microsoft making a bunch of announcements around its file sharing capabilities, you know that that's a company you should be paying attention to all of a sudden. Also, it allows us to deliver metadata. So you just pick this random group of 9 companies that, according to certain filters, you deem to be in your area of interest. Well, we can now tell you who the main investors are in that space, where they're located, and who the largest companies are. All of this changes every time you add or subtract your company. This is what one profile looks like of Era. So obviously our job is to curate and aggregate what's available online, but what's much more interesting is the insights that an analyst actually has to see manually. Who are they hiring? Well, they're hiring a lot more people in engineering than in sales at the moment. Interesting to see how that might change going forward. Who have they acquired? And the recent news, you don't need to read the article because we automatically pulled out the snippet that gives you the information that you really need from that article. It's done automatically. So again, it allows you to see not only which companies are within a cluster, but also where the white space is. We're working with a lot of corporate strat groups. We're saying, okay, where do we need to start spending our R&D capital? Where are the opportunities? Team, as I said, myself and 3 friends from Stanford, working on this for a little over a year, and great backers, including Simon, of course, and Google Interest, Stanford Stardust Fund, and Sugarwood, Ron. We'd love you to try it out. Datafox.co, you can start a free trial and actually start creating your own watch list. Or go to explore.datafox.co, which is a viz that we created together with Accenture. They used our similarity scores to come up with a visualization, which we've now brought into our product as well. And yeah, it should be email.
Do you have a promo code? Do you have a promo code?
Oh, it's a free trial for 30 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Well done. My name is Stephen Juan, and I'm the CEO of AuditFile.com, the world's first cloud-based solution for CPAs to perform audits. Now, I'm sure you're wondering how did a guy like me get into auditing software. So I started this company with my brother back in 2011. Growing up, our dad was a CPA, and he had performed audits for over 30 years. And we just come home from the gym, and we were watching our dad work from home. My brother goes up to him and says, hey Dad, why is it keep crashing? Do you want to send this error report to Microsoft? We can fun. And then he asks, hey Dad, what does the paintbrush button do? My dad turns around and says, well, I don't know. Don't touch it. And they break it. So we thought, that's interesting. And then we said, hey Dad, how much did your firm pay for this software? And the number just blew us away. So when I'm talking about auditing software, what exactly do I mean? Is this QuickBooks? No. So CPAs make their money in primarily 3 ways, and that's bookkeeping, tax, and audit. Now, over the last 10 years, there's been a lot of new players doing a lot of innovative things in the bookkeeping and tax space. But in audit, there's only 3 legacy vendors: Caseware, Thomson Reuters, and CCH. And they all share a common problem. They're all terribly outdated. This is a screenshot from Thomson Reuters' website, their marketing website. This is what they brag about. This is a case where they have a great product called Working Papers. CCH is the exact same way. So now there's a new player in this space, AuditFile.com, which is the first cloud solution for CPAs to perform audits. Now, let's talk about exactly what an audit is. An audit is a list of steps that auditors perform in order to ensure the integrity of a company's financial statements. So for example, if Enron says they have $100 of cash on the cash section of their balance sheet, Well, the auditor at our Anderson needs to call the bank and say, do they indeed have $100 in cash? Now, that's maybe one step of 5,000 for an audit of a large publicly traded company. So the current way all of our competitors store all these steps is they'll have a Word document for each section of the balance sheet. They'll have cash.docx, AR.docx, accrued liabilities.docx, etc. And so the auditor will open up the Word document, find the procedure they just completed, and then type their name and date inside the Word document. Save it on a pen drive, and then hand it to their audit manager for review. Now, as you can imagine, this creates tons of problems. First, there's no version control for Word documents. Currently, there's no way for an audit manager to know, are we halfway done with the audit? Are we 3/4 of the way done with cash? There's no way to query the data. So we invented this thing called ALML, the audit markup language, which allows us to encode all the audit steps in a relational database. And so for the first time ever, an audit manager can have a nice looking dashboard on their iPad. Secondly, we're pioneering the field of quantitative accounting. I used to work as a quant in finance, and what I did is I took concepts from physics and engineering and applied them to finance. Now this has been done in the academic literature in accounting, but no one has ever implemented it in a commercially available product. We've invented and implemented proprietary fraud detection algorithms that could have prevented things like Enron and Health South. It's based on the intuition that humans are really terrible at making up random numbers. It's a large market. According to the Bureau of Statistics, there's over 57,000 CPA firms. And according to our competitors' regulatory filings, over $2 billion a year is spent annually on auditing software. We sell our software as a service for between $99 and $499 per user per month. And auditors absolutely love it. This is a quote from the head partner at the Syracuse Ernst & Young office. Over the years, I've seen many other audit firm systems that they use for their audits. And just the hour we spent yesterday, I can already see auditfile.com is much more user-friendly and intuitive. To do this, we have a great team. That's me at the top. I studied statistics at the PhD level at UC Berkeley, and I used to work as a data scientist at our largest competitor, Thomson Reuters. My brother studied computer science and accounting at UCLA, and he used to work as an auditor at Deloitte. My dad used to work at KPMG, has over 30 years audit experience, and now he's the CFO of Auditfile. We also have Jason Mitchell, who has both a background in computer programming and auditing, and a guy named Robbie Lewis, who used to work at Pricewaterhouse. And we've raised a substantial seed round, and we have some great backers. So we got Simon, we got Benitez Partners, 500 Startups, and the Rothenberg Ventures. I saw now. Yeah. So that's auditfile.com, the world's first cloud-based solution for CPA.